Ryan White, Magic Johnson, Freddie Mercury, Rock Hudson, Robert Reed, Rudolph Nureyev, and Amanda Blake. What do all of these people have in common? They either have or have died from AIDS. The purpose of our project is to raise awareness on the impact of AIDS in the modern-day world. We hope to teach who is infected by this disease, where it is most common, how people of all ages are infected, and what to do if you are infected.
What is AIDS? AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. A person is diagnosed with AIDS when their body is too weak to fight off infections. AIDS is caused by HIV. HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. HIV is a virus that gradually attacks the immune system's CD4 T helper cells. As this happens, the body becomes more vulnerable to infections. A healthy person has roughly 1,300 CD8 cells per cubic millimeter of blood. When they have under 200, they are considered to have AIDS.
The HIV virus attaches onto the T cells and inscribes its DNA into the cell's DNA. This is shown in pink. The HIV virus then detaches and disintegrates. It has now turned the T cell into an HIV viral cell that will continue to create and release new HIV viral cells.
There are 5 liquids which transmit HIV: blood, breast milk, semen, vaginal fluid, and pre-ejaculatory fluid. Less than 1% of the world's population is completely immune to HIV/AIDS. A good way to prevent the spread of the disease is something called microbicide gel. It is an HIV deterrent.
On a global scale, the ratio of men and women who are infected by HIV is split in half. Any age or ethnicity is also equally capable of being infected by HIV. In the sub-Saharan Africa, which is the most prominent area that is infected by HIV, the gender ratio is split slightly more than half, which is more common for women. There is no specific age. The reason why women are more likely to have AIDS is because they are typically raped or prostitutes in Africa. The ethnicity then, of course, would be African. In America, the ratio is higher for males than females, with an 80 to 20 ratio. The age is typically 20 to 50 years old, and it's for African American men.
The only way to find out if you are infected with HIV is through a blood test. Possible signs of having AIDS are called opportunistic infections. They include meningitis, HPV, and Kaposi sarcoma, which is lesions upon the skin.
Since the beginning of the epidemic in 1969 to 2009, there have been 60 million people globally recorded that were diagnosed with HIV. In America, there have been 1,142,714 recorded diagnoses.
Globally, 33.3 million people are living with HIV today. As a whole, in 7 countries, 5 of them being in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, HIV incidence increased by more than 25% between 2001 and 2009. In Sub-Saharan Africa, 22.5 million people are infected today. This includes Ethiopia, Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. In America, currently, there are 1,106,000 people living with HIV.
Since the beginning of the epidemic in 1969 to 2009, there is estimated 25 million recorded deaths from HIV/AIDS. The number of annual AIDS-related deaths worldwide is steadily decreasing from the peak of 2.1 million in 2004 to an estimated 1.8 million in 2009. The decline reflects the increased availability of antiretroviral therapy, as well as care and support to people living with HIV, particularly in middle and low-income countries. It is also a result of decreasing incidence starting in the late 1990s. In America, since the beginning of the epidemic in 1969 to 2009, an estimate of 617,025 people have died. HIV, a timeline.
The origin of HIV relates back to the SIV, which is the simian immunodeficiency virus. While genetically different from HIV, this virus could have evolved through various mutations to become dangerous to humans. Monkeys were believed to infect humans through their blood being used in malaria research.
In 1951, the earliest case of HIV was found in Africa. In 1969, the first case of HIV in the United States was a 15-year-old prostitute with Kaposi sarcoma. In May of 1981, the first newspaper article about HIV called it the gay cancer, since it was only found in homosexual people.
In 1982, the first infant and blood transfusion case was recorded. The Center for Disease Control linked HIV/AIDS to blood. In 1985, national polls showed that 15% of all Americans think people infected with AIDS should have had tattoos to show that they had AIDS. 14-year-old Ryan White is then barred from attending school in the same year.
In 1987, the first HIV-fighting drug, zidovudine, is approved. It costs $10,000 a year. 6 years into the epidemic, Ronald Reagan finally made a speech about AIDS. This year, the memorial quilt also started. In 1991, Magic Johnson announces that he has AIDS, and Freddie Mercury also dies of AIDS.
In 1995, the first protease inhibitor, sequinavir, is approved. In 2002, the FDA approved rapid HIV testing devices. Also in 2002, 50% of Americans still thought everyday contact could cause transmission.
In 2006, Altripla, a once-a-day single pill treatment for HIV, is approved. In 2008, the U.S. government lifts a 2-decade-long travel restriction that banned HIV-positive from entering the country. By the end of 2010, in sub-Saharan Africa, HIV infections decreased by 39% because of a microbicide known as tenofovir gel.
The main treatment for someone who is HIV positive is called a protease inhibitor. These attack the viral assembly by stopping protease, an enzyme, from being formed. What this does is it prevents HIV from connecting to new cells. Highly active antiretroviral therapy, commonly known as HAART, is a combination of 2 or more types of inhibitors. These work together to fight HIV. It is also called the atomic cocktail. The only issues with protease inhibitors, as well as HAART, is the cost and the potential side effects. The cost range is from $250 to well over $1,000 a month.
You may be asking yourself, how do I manage my response to change in a healthy way? People can lead healthier lives by being aware of HIV, knowing how it is caused, how it can be prevented, what it can do to your body, and what to do if you are infected.
The only hope for a cure lies in the people immune to HIV/AIDS. There was a story of an HIV-infected person that received a blood transfusion from someone immune to the disease. Within weeks, his HIV was gone.
National AIDS Awareness Day is on December 1st.